Let's go back to our focus on the issue of land and housing in South Africa and look now at the plight of the homeless, the forgotten people, if you will, in this country, people who have no other option but to seek shelter on park benches or on the side of the road. Chris Lund is chairperson of the organization Johannesburg Homeless Network and joins us now to discuss what's been happening. And Chris, a very good afternoon to you. An unfortunate topic to be discussing just simply because of the desperation of these people, but I'm wondering how you have been dealing with the upsurge in people who have lost their homes and properties as a result of the lockdown in particular.
Yes, Jambekile. Yes, clearly, homelessness has been a growing problem over the last several years, and in particular in the last year during lockdown, we definitely saw the numbers swell. People on the margins who had piece jobs suddenly finding themselves, homeless and destitute. And, there's a number of reasons, for homelessness. It's quite a complex issue. There's migration. We've had, obviously, unemployment, people not having simple things like not having an ID. And, during the lockdown, the loss of a breadwinner and people desperately finding themselves on the street. Other contributors are the fact that NGOs have been under financial pressure for the last 10 years, as business has not quite been as it was before, so they're also under pressure in the services they can offer, and also believe that, government departments have not, until recently, had homelessness on the radar. So lots of reasons why we find ourselves in this situation.
And why do you think it is so easy for many of us in either middle class or upper income areas to simply look past and gloss over the issue of homelessness, including the government as well? Because it was only during lockdown that we started to hear official mention of the homeless and plans being made to put them in shelters and the like.
Yeah, look, I think people becomes a part of life, and people just don't see it, which is unfortunate. And perhaps sometimes, when you have a crisis like a lockdown, it gives people an opportunity to look at things that are important and start maybe reviewing what they think. And certainly, we've seen in the last year, a lot more interest in homelessness, a lot more articles have been written. And slowly this thing is coming to the forefront. And I also think behind the scenes there's been some NGOs and community-based organizations like ourselves, who've kind of set things up and set structures, and perhaps that's also helping as well.
And the Johannesburg Organization of Service has been in the news lately. They're saying one of the struggles they are facing, for example, is trying to get access to city buildings to lease them so that they can house the homeless. Why is that such a complicated thing to do?
Well, it is complicated because, unfortunately, when it comes to government land and properties, it is the key holders are the Johannesburg Property Company, and there's only two ways in which land or property can be released. One is through a tender process, which is open to the public. The second way is if land is released to a city department, and then that city department can then, enter into a lease with an NGO, for example. Unfortunately, there are projects in the pipeline, but the wheel has been turning very slowly. And I know that Josh has been very vocal and very frustrated about it, yeah.
I may have missed this, but how many homeless people are you helping currently?
Well, I think between our members, we certainly probably several hundred, several thousand. I don't know the exact number. That is one of the challenges, is that there hasn't actually been a quantitative or qualitative research done on homelessness in probably about 20 years in Johannesburg. I know there was one done way back in the inner city many years ago. Although the Gauteng Department of Social Development has recently done some research, and the results have, I think, been published now in the last week or two. which we're quite excited about. But I still don't think it's the quantitative numbers that they did. They did more, personal interaction with homeless people. But at least it's a start. And I know as the network, we're trying to raise funding to do further research because, you've got to know the numbers and know the problem before you can resolve it.
And for people who say, I don't have space to accommodate an extra person, but I would like to assist organizations that work in this space, how do people help?
Yeah, look, I think there are a number of ways. There are existing NGOs. MES is one doing fabulous work in the inner city. You can find them on the web page. There's Josh. In the Johannesburg Homeless Network, we can also accept donations. There's a lot of work to be done. I just want to say that in the past year, because of the crisis, we have formed a task team with the city of Johannesburg, and I think that's starting to become productive. So it took us a while to know each other. So it's a collaboration between NGOs, between city officials and the JRCP, the Johannesburg Inner City Partnership, which represents the private sector. And we have slowly developed a work plan, and we're starting to see some fruit from that. Whereas a year ago, we didn't know each other, and now we're starting to move forward. So I'm confident with that because I think as you get to know people, build relationships, then things start happening.
Chris Lund, good to speak to you, sir, and thank you for all the work that you do to assist the homeless in and around Johannesburg.